My husband happily went to school to pick up his child. I secretly followed and then froze. The afternoon sun cast a warm glow over our suburban neighborhood as my husband, Mark, left the house with an unmistakable spring in his step. He had always been a devoted father, eagerly looking forward to picking up our 5-year-old son, Alex, from school. Today, however, his enthusiasm seemed unusually heightened, and it stirred an unsettling feeling within me. Mark had been acting strangely for months now, secretive phone calls, sudden changes in his schedule, and a pervasive sense of detachment that I could no longer ignore. As he drove away, a compulsion overtook me, one I had never felt before. I grabbed my keys and followed him at a safe distance, feeling a mix of dread and determination. The drive to Alex's school was short, but it felt interminable as my mind raced with suspicions and fears. What was Mark hiding from me? What was he doing that he couldn't share with his wife of 8 years? Parking my car discreetly down the street, I watched as Mark entered the school grounds. He moved with a familiarity and confidence that seemed out of place. I got out of my car and followed him on foot, careful to remain unseen. My heart pounded in my chest as I navigated the throngs of parents and children, my eyes locked on Mark's every move. I saw him approaching Alex's classroom, but instead of waiting outside like the other parents, he walked straight in. The door closed behind him, and I hesitated for a moment before quietly making my way to the window. Peering inside, I saw my son happily gathering his things, oblivious to the tension surrounding him. But it wasn't Alex who held my attention. It was the woman standing beside him, Miss Turner, his kindergarten teacher. Miss Turner was young, attractive, and always impeccably dressed. I had met her several times at parent-teacher conferences, and she had always seemed professional and kind. But the way she was looking at Mark now, with a mix of affection and longing, sent a chill down my spine. Mark was speaking to her in hushed tones, and she responded with a smile that was far too intimate. My breath caught in my throat as I watched Mark reach out and gently touch Miss Turner's arm. She leaned into his touch, and in that moment, the truth I had been dreading became undeniable. My husband was having an affair with our son's teacher. The ground seemed to shift beneath my feet as I stumbled back, desperate to keep my composure. I couldn't confront them here, not in front of Alex. Instead, I retreated to my car, my mind reeling with the implications of what I had just witnessed. How long had this been going on? How could Mark betray me and our family so profoundly? I drove home in a daze, my emotions swinging wildly between rage, sorrow, and disbelief. By the time I reached our driveway, my resolve had hardened. This betrayal could not go unaddressed. I would confront Mark, demand the truth, and make decisions about our future. When Mark and Alex arrived home, I watched them from the living room window. Alex was chattering happily about his day, clutching a drawing he had made in class. Mark's face was lit with the easy smile of a man without a care in the world. It was a facade, a mask that hid the deceit festering beneath. Once Alex was settled with his toys, I called Mark into the kitchen. He looked at me, sensing the gravity of my tone, and followed without a word. The kitchen, usually a place of warmth and family gatherings, now felt like a battleground. "I know about you and Miss Turner," I said, my voice trembling with barely contained anger. Mark's face drained of color, and he opened his mouth to speak, but I cut him off. "I saw you with her today. How long has this been going on?" For a moment, Mark seemed to grapple with whether to deny it or come clean. Then, seeing the resolve in my eyes, he sighed heavily and confessed. The affair had started 6 months ago, born out of late-night conversations and mutual attraction. It had grown into something neither of them had intended, but had failed to resist. His words hit me like a physical blow, each one a nail in the coffin of our marriage. I listened in stunned silence, my mind struggling to process the depth of his betrayal. When he finished, I took a deep breath and asked the question that had been burning inside me. Why? Why would you do this to us, to our family? Mark's eyes filled with tears, but I felt no sympathy. His remorse came too late, his regret a hollow echo of the love we had once shared. He spoke of feeling neglected, of seeking solace and excitement, but his excuses only fueled my anger. "I gave you everything," I said, my voice breaking. "I trusted you, and you threw it all away for a fling with our son's teacher." Mark reached out to me, but I recoiled, unable to bear his touch. "We can work through this," he pleaded. "I'll end it with her. I want to make things right." But the damage was done. The foundation of our marriage had been shattered, and no amount of apologies or promises could repair it. I looked at Mark, the man I had once loved so deeply, and saw only a stranger. "I want a divorce," I said, the words heavy with finality. Mark's eyes widened in shock, but I stood firm. "I can't live like this, with this betrayal hanging over us. I deserve better, and so does Alex." Over the next few weeks, the process of ending our marriage began. It was a painful, tumultuous time, filled with heated arguments and silent tears. We agreed to joint custody of Alex, determined to shield him from the worst of our conflict. But the tension between us was palpable, and every interaction was a reminder of what had been lost. Our friends and family were stunned by the news of our separation. To the outside world, we had appeared the perfect couple, living the American dream. But behind closed doors, the truth was far darker. Mark moved out, and I focused on rebuilding my life, finding strength in my son and the support of those who cared about us. The months that followed were a blur of legal proceedings and emotional upheaval. Mark and Miss Turner's relationship became public knowledge, adding to the scandal and gossip that swirled around our community. I faced judgment and pity from some, but I refused to let their opinions define me. I was determined to emerge from this ordeal stronger and more resilient. The day our divorce was finalized was bittersweet. It marked the end of a chapter, a farewell to the dreams we had once shared. But it also signified a new beginning, a chance to build a life free from the shadows of infidelity and deceit. As I watched Alex play in the backyard, his laughter a beacon of hope, I knew that I had made the right decision. The road ahead would not be easy, but I was prepared to face it head-on. The pain of betrayal would eventually fade, and in its place, I would find healing and peace. My marriage had ended in heartbreak, but from the ashes of our broken vows, I would rise, stronger, wiser, and ready to embrace the future with open arms.